Awesome. Well, welcome all back to another amazing Wednesday Wellness. We're so excited to have Chef Lauren with us today, talking about clean crafted wine and how it fits into your nutrition plan. So, Lauren, take it away.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Good to see everyone again. Wine is one of our favorite subjects to talk about, and even better because we have some really cool education to share, and then kind of a healthier option. It's still wine, so I'm not going to say it's a health food, but when it comes to what we use on our skin, what food we put in our body, and even what drinks we enjoy, it's important that we make an educated decision, because a lot of us are consuming things blindly, not knowing or realizing that it's also making us feel yucky. So we'll just kind of leave it at that. You all know what kind of yucky feelings I'm talking about, whether for you, it's more internal or external appearing. I gotta be careful what I claim here. So let's talk about just the wine industry in general and some things that have happened in the last couple of decades that make clean crafted wine even necessary. And then I'll share a little bit more about what that is, and some of our favorite different wines maybe that we've enjoyed. Maybe we'll do some food and wine pairing, talk about that a little bit. So the wine industry in the last couple of decades has, like all industries, really become the small vineyards and wineries have become bought up by these large mega brands, these conglomerates, right? And so when that happens, they become far less concerned with the integrity of the product in a lot of cases. And so they'll start adding in different additives or chemicals, or they'll try to cut corners in an effort to increase the bottom line. And so with the wine industry specifically, what's happening is they're adding all sorts of things into the wine to help extend its shelf life, or to sweeten the wine where the grapes weren't left on the vine for long enough to achieve that natural sweetness. They're adding purple food coloring. It's called mega purple dye, because the skin isn't left in the juice for long enough to achieve that bold, rich, deep purple color. Or they're adding in different pesticides to the crop. And if you follow, at least the Dirty Dozen or Environmental Working Group at all, you know that grapes are on the Dirty Dozen list almost all the time. So imagine that the grapes that are being then turned into your wine, they're being sprayed with all kinds of different pesticides and chemicals, the most alarming of which being glyphosate, which is the main ingredient in Roundup. So all of this is happening on the vineyard, which means two things. Number one, it's definitely getting onto the grapes and into the juice, which then turns into the wine and then into your body. So from a health perspective, that's just bad news. But from the environmental perspective as well, all of what they're spraying on these crops, acres and acres and hundreds of thousands of acres of vineyards globally being treated with the pesticides, that's going into the planet. And it's also part of what the condition of the workers have to go through, so they're wearing hazmat suits and they're spraying the crop. And if anyone is wearing a hazmat suit around any food that I'm eating, I want to know about it, number one. And number two, I probably don't want to eat that food. But for the average consumer, they don't realize this about wine. And if you try to do some research, or you want to even look at the wine bottle, none of the ingredients or nutritional facts are found on the label because it's not required to be there. After Prohibition, wine fell under ATF and never made its way to FDA. So it's actually not even overseen by the people who monitor, and who knows if they do a good job or a questionable job, right, about monitoring the quality of things in our food. So the wine industry has changed a lot, really. I explain all of that to just get the point across that it's a different space now. And so we're seeing a rise in organic vineyards, an organic winery, even a rise in vegan winery, and labels, because what they add to the wine, once they've purchased the grapes, maybe the grapes are organic, so they're able to call it organic wine, but in the winemaking process, they still could be adding different things to the wine, those food colorings or stabilizers or flavor balancing chemicals, different things like that. So just because it says organic doesn't mean it's organic from grape to glass. And the same is true for food. Just because it has organic on the front of the box doesn't mean that all the ingredients are certified organic necessarily. But companies can also pay for these certifications, right? So it's really important to know more about where we're buying our products. And so one of the things that I love about Scout and Cellar is that they're committed to transparency, authenticity, and they operate in full integrity of doing what's right for the planet to keep it healthy for future generations, and doing what's right for the wine drinker, the person who likes to enjoy a glass or two with their meal, or, you know, to toast to celebrations, or to just have good conversation. Wine is a very social experience. And so we're having more of these kind of healthy and conscious conversations with people. So the wine should be that way as well. Where else can we go from here? A couple of other things that I really love about Scout and Cellar is the wine is lab tested twice. And what that means is it's tested before bottling and after bottling. So whatever practices they're using in the bottling facility, we know that the wine is what we say it is, that it's not going to have any of those 250 different additives, no added sugar. It is wine as nature intended, which contains only grapes, plus the sunshine and the time that it took to ferment. And that's it. And so we have wine from all over the world available on our ever-changing wine list. Comes from Chile or Argentina, New Zealand, Spain, France, Italy, and the wine coast. So California, Oregon, Washington sometimes. And it's seasonal, right? Mother Nature is a seasonal kind of fickle woman. And so if one year only a certain amount of Chardonnay grapes are able to be grown, that is the amount of juice that should be turned into wine. And so we produce in small batches because we're not ever treating the crop with any chemicals that are going to make production soar in an effort to have the wine on the shelf or on the digital shelf all year long. So as a local and seasonal chef with the plant-based lens, I love that this wine is the same. And we've got everything from white to red, rosé, bubbly. There's something for all kinds of wine drinkers on the list. And it makes a great gift, really easy. It ships right to your door or to whomever's door. So you don't have to worry about hauling the heavy boxes in and out of the store, or hauling the kids in and out, or making that extra stop while you're running errands. You can just rest easy that it's going to show up on the schedule that you set, or as you place orders a la carte, which I think if we've learned anything or many things in 2020, it's the power of convenience and ordering things online that meet our standards as a consumer, but also that fill a need that we have. We can't be in 100 different places at once. So getting things shipped to the house is great. Plus the wine club is super flexible. So if you're like me and making decisions is hard and you like things to just show up on a schedule, the wine club is really flexible as well. So we're happy to share more about what that looks like for anyone interested. But I think really the main thing we wanted to cover today was, what is it about this wine? Why does it need to exist? And then what are some really cool things that you can enjoy as a result? So I know, Crystal, you had a interesting experience at the dinner that we did over the winter where, you're like, oh my God, my face, it's not hot. It's not turning red. Like, this is amazing. Right. And similarly, I had a glass of wine with someone over the summer and I felt that headache come like right here. I don't even remember what the wine was, doesn't matter, but I was only halfway through the glass. I'm like, oh yeah, it's because it's not certified clean crafted wine. Like, what a bummer. So you really can notice a difference. And the same is true for the food that we eat or the food that we might pair with the wine. So if you've gone to all the trouble of buying organic food, which is oftentimes more expensive than conventional food, which should have a different name. Conventional is far too innocent of a name to be called for food that's covered in pesticides that will contribute to ill health, like needs a new name. Anyway, and organic, it sounds lovely, number one, but like organic, it just almost makes it feel like that's out of reach for a lot of people, which really it's food as nature intended. Anyway, that's beside the point. So if you're making all that effort in your food and you're learning how to prepare healthy meals for yourself and you're watching this, you're watching your life kind of on the healthier side, like you're guiding it down a healthier path with your food. If you drink wine and you're not considering what's in your glass, you are doing yourself a disservice. You are missing an opportunity to make a very easy swap to keep your health track to keep your health goals on track. I talked about sugar a little bit. A lot of wines have about 16 grams per liter of sugar. Scout and Cellar, for most of them, I think it's 5 grams per liter or less. Most of them fall in, the 0 point category for grams per liter on sugar. And it's just residual, which means the sugar that's already naturally in the grapes, nothing added to it. So again, if you're someone who's watching your sugar, or if you're like me and you would rather eat a glazed donut than drink one in your wine, that's something that you would like to know about. Some other things that people enjoy, with the clean wine specifically, like I mentioned, any of those yucky feelings you don't have, and then you can enjoy some wine on Friday night, but then you can get up on Saturday morning and still do what it is you like to do, your chores, your errands, your kids' games and whatever, and you're not incapacitated from the decisions of the night before, in most cases, at least in my experience. So it allows you to stay on track with your health goals, to still, enjoy time feeling awesome. So time saved from making extra stops, and time saved from feeling gross from, consumption the night before. So it's just a win in all sense of the word. And we love it so much, and it's so fun to share with everyone. And we're looking forward to doing lots of tastings this summer, because those are just fun. And then really, it's a difference you can taste the second that you have your first sip of clean crafted wine, right? You just feel how it is in your mouth. You notice how light and crisp it is. And it's really kind of a mind-blowing experience. And then, when you think about pairing it with food, that's kind of a whole separate conversation, which we can get into. But I want to kind of pause here and just see if there are questions, see what kind of thoughts or additional things, Perla or Crystal, you might like to share.
One thing that really impressed me was a friend of mine who doesn't drink wine because she always breaks out, gets a headache, has these bad effects. And I kept telling her she has issues with sugar, and as well, like when she eats certain things. So I'm like, well, let's talk about this. Hey, so one night on a whim, I'm like, well, should we try it? And we did. And now she can drink wine again. So that was huge. I mean, that was just her experience. But yeah, it's definitely been a game changer. And I feel like I can get back to enjoying my wine, because I have always loved it. But as Lauren said, you can literally taste the difference, but you can definitely feel the difference.
Yeah.
Anybody have any questions? So one of the things we were talking about was how it fits into your nutrition plan. And that's because, I've always said, listen, especially for those people, if they're looking for strictly weight loss, for me, I just don't like to put sugar in my body because it hurts my skin. So I always tell them, like, well, 2 beverages a week when you're looking for weight loss, because you still want to live, you want to allow people to live. And now I feel blessed that I have an alternative for everyone, because the other thing I found in Scout and Cellar is it's not only the wine, but can you tell us a little bit about the spirits, about the gin and the vodka type? They're still made with grapes, but
yeah.
So go ahead, tell us about that, a little bit about that, Lauren.
Sure. Yeah. So Scout and Cellar as a company, so it is a winery. Scout and Cellar is a winery that exists in Texas. And I can give you even like a little bit of a backstory too about how it was started by our founder, but I'll talk about the vodka and the gin replacement first. So they're always wanting to do new and innovative things. And so a couple of things that they've done is created this cleaner experience of vodka or gin. So they're both grape-based spirits. It's what's called a neutral grape spirit, and they're filtered with charcoal to just really pull out any of that stronger kind of grapey wine flavor. And so it's designed to be a mixable. That's what it's called. Wilderness Road, the world's first clean crafted mixable. And so you basically use it as a vodka or a gin replacement. The vodka is plain. And then the gin has botanicals of different sorts of things that make it taste like gin. And it's basically designed for the person who likes to drink craft cocktails or mixed drinks, but doesn't like the intensity of the drunk feeling that they might get, or doesn't like maybe they love the mission of Scout and Cellar, but they're not really wine drinkers. They're more mixed drinkers. So both of those products are great. You can use, they're great for the bartender's pantry, I guess, or shelf, if that's something that you like to enjoy. And they're delicious just on the rocks, or with a squeeze of citrus, or to make into a full-on cocktail. And then some other things that we have available are canned wines, or little small sampler bottles. So like those are just fun for the person who only wants to drink one glass of wine, or maybe you're taking it to the beach or the pool, or I don't know, dare I say your kid's soccer game, like who cares? No judgment. Where you just want to have one serving of something and it just kind of looks fun and innocent, like, I don't know, whatever. So we're staying ahead. We're really on a mission to disrupt the wine industry as a whole. And we're already doing that, both in terms of the supply chain and in terms of the user experience and the customer experience. So an example within the supply chain is there's a champagne bottling facility that we were working with, and we had concerns about cross-contamination with the other products that they were bottling there. And we educated them simply on the different chemicals and additives that are in these other wines. And they were so shocked by it, and they really wanted the relationship with Scout and Cellar, that they were inspired to make their whole facility clean crafted or organic only. Like now they'll only work with brands who are also committed to no chemical use in their products. So it's really kind of cool that we're kind of influencing the industry in those different ways. And another story I always love to share with people is we seek out these opportunities to work with people who are committed to growing grapes in a way that fits our vision. We want to support them. So there was one gentleman in California who had been operating an organic vineyard for years. And the company that he was supplying his grapes to needed him to produce more grapes. But to do that, he would have had to treat his fields with chemicals. He wasn't willing to do that. So unfortunately, he lost this contract, this job with, this previous relationship that he had. But Scout and Cellar heard of this and swooped right in to happily purchase his grapes to then turn into clean crafted wine. So he's able to still work and tend to the land within his integrity of organic and doing what's right. And we're able to, use the grapes that he grew and then turn it into the product that we stand by. So there's just all sorts of little examples like that where we're committed to crafting wine in the way of old tradition, and in a way also that protects the planet for future generations.
And Lauren, I was watching something last night. I believe it's the founder. Was she a doctor?
She was a lawyer. Yeah.
A lawyer. Okay. I know. Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that back up. So I'll share the little story about her. So her name is Sarah, and she is a recovering corporate lawyer, as she calls herself. And she always had a passion and an interest in wine. And she would go and enjoy wine like anyone would. And then, and she was kind of looking for a passion project. So she went through a sommelier certification. And in doing so, she got to drinking, glasses of wine throughout the week to practice her skill and to kind of taste her way through this very rigorous and intense certification program. And she noticed all these yucky feelings, and it became hard to do her job and even to study. And so there was one weekend where she went away with friends, and all she was enjoying was European wine. And it didn't make her feel any of the things that she had been feeling. She said, that's weird. So she kind of put on her detective hat when she got back into her routine and back into enjoying the wine she was drinking. And she noticed those yucky feelings came back. So she said, something's going on here. Something's not right. And so the research that she did was so shocking, but made such sense to her, since she had that personal experience that so many of us do, but don't necessarily realize that it's the wine and not us. She was inspired to seek out other people who are doing doing things in the winemaking world in the right way. And so she was inspired to create this company, Scout and Cellar, on the premise of bringing clean crafted wine as nature intended to people like her who didn't want their wine to make them feel yucky. But then also being able to support people who are on this mission of sustainability as well. So the company is just about 3.5 years old now, and growing like crazy, which is really quite exciting.
And one other thing I absolutely love is the wine club, because you can choose between 4 bottles, 6 bottles, 12 bottles, a blend of red and white, or just red or just white. You can choose if it's delivered to you monthly or bi-monthly or quarterly. And it's just, I've given it, it's just an amazing opportunity to be able to, I like surprises and I like trying new things. So they actually pick the wine for you. And it's like, I forget about it and I'm doing my thing, and all of a sudden, surprise, look what I got. So that's, I may or may not have had to speed up my delivery a little more. But it's really nice. And the other thing is the guarantee behind this wine. Want to talk a little bit about that, Lauren?
Yeah, sure. So we have what's called a do the right thing guarantee, which means that if you try a wine that you just don't like, the flavor doesn't work for you, or you thought you'd like it but you didn't, or it comes in your your Scout Circle box, and it's just not for you, we will always do the right thing and give the customer the credit on their account to get something else that they do like. You don't have to return the bottle. You don't have to prove that you tried it. Like, it's a no questions asked. We'll always do what's right. You don't get that same customer service at the wine shop or the state liquor store. You walk in with an open container and they'll tell you to turn right back around. So we love to share clean wine with people, but we do also understand that, in some cases you're kind of putting faith in the winemaker or in Mother Nature, on like, I think I'll like this one, but so you risk nothing in trying something new. And if you're like Perla or myself, you do like to try new things. And so that's where the wine club can really be the best bang for your buck, because you get to try Scout Circle exclusive wines, some new exciting things that come from these new partnerships or from these labels that have a new blend or a new varietal or something. So there's always some really exciting perks and different things to try and enjoy. Yeah.
Awesome. Any questions? Anybody want to have a little taste test? Jackie's like, I do. Taffy does. Awesome. Taffy, I'm going to add you on my list because we are going to be having some fun here real soon.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, especially if they sell single servings. And gin alternative too.
Yeah. Yeah, you're a mixed drink girl, huh?
I am.
Awesome. Cool.
I will make sure I get some of that for that tasting so that
Going for my tequila today.
But I can't drink a whole bottle of one by myself anyway, so
Yeah.
but single servings are good for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And a lot of people ask, because this wine doesn't have as many preservatives and it certainly doesn't have as much sulfites, right? Sulfites are really the thing in wine that help to protect it throughout the open container kind of aging, right? So like wine ages, it gets better as it ages, right? But once you open it, that's when things kind of start to turn quickly. And so the extra sulfites in the wine help to protect the wine through that process. But at Scout and Cellar, we use 50 parts per million or less of sulfites. Most wines use 350 parts per million. So it's just far more than is necessary. Some is needed to protect it from turning into vinegar. But because of that, kind of to circle back on your point, Taffy, of, you can't finish a whole bottle of wine. Clean crafted wine, once it's opened, will have a bit of a shorter shelf life because there's less in it to protect it once it is opened. But you can get those vacuum stop tops, and there are different things you can do to help protect it. And then, worst case, even if it ends up that it's just been open for too long, you can still cook with it. And then what I love is because now I'm committed to the cleaner wine in my glass, but when I cook with wine, I don't want to reach for the the dirty wine when I'm cooking either. Like the food is
Right.
clean for a reason. I don't want to undo all of that with the
Yeah.
wine that I use to deglaze the pan. So just to have some leftover Scout and Cellar wine is, it never goes to waste, whether it gets finished in a glass or on the plate, doesn't matter.
Awesome. Well, Lauren, thank you so much, honey, for sharing again. So
You're
grateful
welcome.
for you and teaching us all these wonderful things and sharing all your knowledge and these wonderful products.
Yeah, my pleasure. I'll see you next week
Yes,
for a
indeed.
tasting, right? Yeah.
Yeah.